Welcome back to the show, guys. Today I've got a very special guest with me here, Mr. Ryan Carter. Ryan, man, it's a pleasure to have you on.
Likewise, pleasure to catch up.
So, for those who don't know Ryan, we met traveling a little over a year ago now. Something was different when I met this guy. I'd always see him on the corner of the coffee shop, shirtless, chair outside, facing the sun on the beach. Ryan, what the hell were you doing, man? Can you explain what was going on?
In the game. So essentially, this is programming my biology for excellence or for thriving. Instead of being indoors or locked up as a prisoner in an office, again, I'm connecting with the environment. I'm making use of the resources around us, basically. And this is about efficiency and thermodynamics. So again, when I'm taking my top off or when I'm outside with my shoes, again, I'm using the energy from Earth essentially to power my biology to allow me to do what I do.
Right. Yeah, I hear you talk a lot about like light energy, mitochondria. Like what role does sunlight specifically play in our health?
It's the most important one. So it's sunlight, but it's also darkness. So again, if you can recall your time in Nicaragua, it was extremely hot, bright, but also very dark at nighttime. So again, we can't just talk absolutes. Okay, sunlight is the best, but darkness needs to be there at the same time. Again, we can have all the
Right.
sunlight we want in our body, but again, unless we're repairing and doing something with that, which occurs at nighttime in the presence of darkness, then it's going to be ineffective. So again, it's like yin yang, essentially. Again, you could be an inflated bodybuilder, but you still can't touch your toes because you lack mobility or your fascia doesn't work. But again, it's the same thing with sunlight. You can have amazing vitamin D levels, but your biology be trashed because you're not looking after your sleep hygiene and your melatonin cycles. So again, the two work together.
Right.
And sunlight essentially, again, it's interacting with cholesterol, which most people are aware of, which makes vitamin D. And again, obviously, there's an epidemic of people with low vitamin D. And popping pills is not really going to solve for that, in my opinion. It's a bit like pissing in the wind. But again, it's
Right.
about building your health using sunlight. And like it's not about
Right.
being like a washed up whale on the beach, lapping up all the sun. It's just utilizing it at the best time, not all day, but again in key periods of the day when you can be outside. And again, this is sort of
Right.
the opposite of what most people talk about. The sun is dangerous. We got to see the clouds. We got to manipulate the weather. We got to wear sun cream. We got to cover up. We got to do all these things. But again, if you just actually understand that, like what other animal does that? But again, it's about
Right.
our relationship with sunlight, which has basically been manipulated, disordered, essentially. Without
Yeah.
sunlight, we can't really think that well. We need
Right.
sunlight there to make dopamine, make serotonin, make melatonin, nitric oxide. And again, all these sort of molecules and pathways that they influence is essentially optimizing our biology to prevent modern diseases, essentially. Okay.
Right.
And again, another layer, which again is coming out in the science space at the moment, is about melanin. Okay, so you're naturally melanated because of your mother haplotype, your mother's background. So you naturally got
Right.
protection. But again, like me, I've got a tan, and this tan is essentially being used by my biology to optimize it, to use as a source of energy, essentially. So again, that's like some stuff that conventional science just doesn't comprehend or understand. But again, it's not because they're ignorant, it's because there's science is not absolute. It uses different sort of integrated systems, and that's what the human organism is essentially. It's not compartmentalized. It's not okay, just the gut. It's not just the skin. It's not just the brain. It's all yoked as one. And again, sunlight touches everything essentially.
Right. Yeah. So obviously, it seems like you go way deeper than most people when it comes to this health and fitness space. Like, what led you down the rabbit hole wanting to become a world-class practitioner?
Again, most practitioners in the space, in my opinion, typically have their own health issues. So they're starting from
Right.
a place of, okay, I've got a problem with myself. They discover a few things, they make some improvements, and then they're like, oh, well, this is game changing. I've really just switched. Maybe I've removed gluten. I'd added in some more magnesium. I've taken a multivitamin. I've eaten more fish. And again, the health in most people can improve. However, there'll be like another population, which again, their health is in a bit more shambles, and they would have to dive deeper in the rabbit holes of the health space. And again, it's sort of when I sort of made a few dietary changes, a few fitness changes. Again, it was like a eureka moment. Wow, this is very powerful. It's
Right.
helping me understand my biology and things that really move the needle, because again, I wasn't getting the answers from conventional science or conventional medicine. It was just
Right.
take this, come see me a few weeks later. And even in the functional medicine space, again, from my experience, it was a bit like the same thing. Do this, take that test, take that supplement, come back to see me. Things should get better. But again, it was just the fascination of the human body. And again, that I could, again, get my health back on track, but I could also help others and lead by example.
Yeah.
And again, it was
Yeah.
just a quest of learning. It was a quest of self-exploration, going beyond sort of like the nutritional therapy syllabus, so the learning material, going way beyond that. Again, discovering things about the mitochondria, about light, about magnetism, about water. Again, most nutritionists, dietitian, nutritional therapists, education just stay there. They
Forgo
don't,
all of it. Yeah.
they don't go past that. And
Right.
again, I'm not saying that obviously changing your diet is going to lead to some success, but again, it's not going to be reversing or regenerating your body, which is what optimal and health prevention is about.
Yeah, because I do hear you talk about decentralized health, which I'd like to dive into in a sec. But it seems like at the core, you're like a fundamentalist, if you will, rather than, going all in on this fad and that fad and like being an extremist. I think you're more of integrating the fundamentals of health.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
what does
100%.
decentralized health mean?
For me, it means first principles. And again, I'm a decentralized clinician, so I work directly with my clients around the world. I follow safety, I follow best practice. But again, my goal is to improve their health, looking at the evidence, looking at my experience, and maybe going a bit outside the box, essentially, in ways of
Right.
improving their health or their goals or their obstacles, basically. I'm not just basing it on pure evidence and needing a meta-analysis or an RCT to prove my point, essentially. So again, I'm not needing to speak to someone who's my boss, basically. I can
Right.
think differently, okay? The clients that work with me allow me to do that. They understand that, okay? And again, it's about empowering them, educating them, so they don't need me in 12 months' time, essentially, or 2 years'
Right.
time. They can be decentralized themselves as a patient or client and as a human being, where they know how to look after their body. And it's a bit like what Hippocrates said, like everyone is a doctor, basically. You got your doctor
Right.
up here. Again, you don't need to see someone with a white jacket in an office under blue light, maybe a bit overweight, maybe taking medications. That is centralized science. And then be
Right.
claiming, okay, there's no solid evidence that going to sunlight in the morning is going to do this and this. Because again, they only know one model of health. And again, that might be the
Right.
gastroenterologist, that might be the endocrinologist, that might be the dermatologist. They are not thinking, they're not thinking outside the box and how these integrated systems work as one. And being decentralized basically understands first principles and understanding how the mitochondria link up with the nucleus and in our DNA. And again, thinking about the essence of life, basically. Okay, because
Right.
humans are part of the world, they're part of the universe. We're not in this sort of science experiment in this lab. That's not how our
Right.
biology works.
Yeah, and you've obviously tried and tested a lot of these things, which is obviously how you arrived here. So in your journey, what have you come to realize are the first principles of health? Like, what are some of those?
Yeah, so the first principles is respecting the environment. So again, wherever you are around the world, and again, it doesn't have to be Nicaragua, you could be in the UK right now, or you could be in Chicago or Miami, you still want to respect the environment and be outside. Okay, you want to be understanding light, you want to be understanding darkness. Or again, if you've got things in your day to offset that basically. So again, like you're indoors right now, again, you've got a little bit of green light coming in. But again, like if you didn't or weren't aware that the laptop screen or your telephone, again, that's actually changing your physiology. Okay. Again,
Right.
windows change your physiology. So again, when you understand that, you can put things in place to protect your health, but also realize I still need to get outside in the morning. This is very important. Okay. Again,
Right.
that would also be complemented with food. Again, there's so much craziness now in the nutrition diet space. Okay, one week someone's carnivore, the next week they're vegan, and then the next week they're going animal based, and the next week they're fasting. Again, it's just dribble. They're just tools, basically at fundamental level. And again, I think most people forget the essence of food. The essence of food has been cultivated in your environment again. And again, wherever you are, you should really, again, not at the extreme end, you don't need to be absolute, but again, 80-90% of the food that you should consume should be local to your environment. Again, it's not rocket science. It's basically common sense. It's common sense that, again, our grandmothers, our great grandmothers, all basically respected. So again, we
Right.
weren't getting imported bananas or avocados or wild salmon here in Nicaragua. It just doesn't make sense. That food is not
Right.
fit for our biology. So again, that's a pure fundamental understanding as well. And then we can just sort of push away all these diet cults out there and stop outsourcing all this information for extreme half truthers, essentially. So,
Yeah.
or again, we might be listening to Chris Saladino, and again, he shares some really good information, and he's a good guy. But again, he's hell-bent that everyone should be living his lifestyle in Costa Rica, which is very different from most people in the United States or in Europe, because again, it's tropical fruit, and it's like meat, and it's everything else. And again, like I just said, tropical fruit doesn't grow in the UK. Now, again, it doesn't mean tropical fruit is bad. It doesn't mean what he does is bad. It just means it might not apply to you. And again, when we're looking at it more medium and long term. So again, like
Right.
if people do okay with tropical fruit, it's not a problem. But again, we're talking about that higher level of optimization. And again, for some people, they actually might be sensitive to tropical fruit, as an example. So again, this would just
Right.
be the application of understanding all these nuances and context. But again, local seasonal foods, understanding that would just remove all the noise, basically, all the podcasts you'll need to listen to, all the books about keto diet, low carb diet. Again, you can just get rid of it, and then you can just focus back on the things that you enjoy in life, living your life, connecting with people, movement,
Right.
being outside, doing adventures. So again, that thinking, that principle allows you to open the door for more possibilities and opportunities to be more decentralized and again connected with nature. So again, you
Yeah.
sort of like release your handcuffs to think for yourself and do what you want.
Right. That's true. Because obviously, like our phone screen now being a few inches away from our face, where we see thousands of inputs every day. Someone says do this, the next reel says do that. So, like, what is like what's important from all of this and what is not important when you see things like, ice baths, morning routine, sauna, like high protein or high red meat diets, like how do you just eliminate the noise if you're someone who's listening right now
Yeah.
and you maybe have given into like these high maintenance lifestyles?
Well, again, it's not going to lie. It feels good chasing these sorts of things. In a sense, you're just chasing dopamine. Okay. So again, you're chasing
Right.
stimulus. And again, this is inputted from your telephone. So again, if you get a better relationship with your phone from first principles, again, you're going to be listening less to all this noise in the first place. Okay. And again, it is difficult. I'm not going to lie. Again, it's very confusing for most people out there about what is the truth or what really applies to me. That's only really going to be worked out again when you do these things and you build the awareness about what makes you feel good. Again, like I could do a cold bath right now and I feel great, but that's the adrenaline talking to me. How will I feel later in the
Right.
day? Am I going to feel brain fogged? Am I going to have hyperglycemia? Am I just actually going to be freezing cold and I need to go inside and warm myself up with a heater, which basically
Right.
just defeats the point in doing the ice bath. So again,
Right.
there's many things to understand, but again, applying self-awareness where maybe you're just tracking self-subjective feedback. So again, you could just like write things down. How am I feeling? Was I hungry for the whole day? Or again, did I actually have morning wood? So again, did I have like an erection in the morning? Or again, did I feel horny during the day? Did I sleep well? How was
Right.
my digestion? Did I go to, was my stool the perfect form? Or did I urinate quite a lot? So again, this is just basic
Right.
principles that you can track and understand, and then see and connect the dots basically. Am I overreaching? Maybe do I have an aura ring? Am I tracking my heart rate variability? Am I overreaching
Right.
myself with the sauna, with the ice bath, with the training, with the fasting, with the keto, with all the supplements, and blah, 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 blah. And again, you can track that in real time with HRV. Okay.
Yeah.
And again, it takes, I would say, real critical thinking to realize that, yeah, maybe the cold bath is not good for me. Maybe the sauna is just too much. Because again, humans in our modern world, we like to do more, 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 more. More is better. Okay. But
Right.
reality is like less is more. Okay. We should be
Right.
more sensitive to this stimulus. Okay. And again, I would say when you have good health, like really good health, again, like seeing 1,000 faces every single day, seeing 1,000 reels, that's too much stimulus to the human body of how we evolve. Okay. I would say
Right.
that's probably a stressor. So again, when you become a bit more sensitive in your body, you can realize these things, and then you can think for
Yeah.
yourself. And again, it's again, you know the lifestyle in Nicaragua. It's very calm. They enjoy themselves, but again, it's very much connected with family life, with friends, enjoying nature, being outside, eating like wholesome food. Not always, but again, for the most part, again, this is what our ancestors were doing. But obviously in the Western world, it's more, 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 more money, more stimulus, more everything. And it's consumerism. And again,
Right.
money obviously makes the world go round. And obviously it's important. Again, it's the reason why I got a roof over my head. But again, we just need to understand that principle and realize, okay, is more money costing my happiness? Is more money costing my health? Is it more money costing my ignorance of my biology, basically?
Right. Yeah, I like that you say less is more. So, how simple do your days look when it comes to health or things that you do throughout the day to optimize your health?
Yeah, well, again, everyone's going to be different, so I wouldn't just take my lifestyle and my routine for it. But again, like I done a bit of movement this morning. I was outside going for walks with my baby who fell asleep on me. Again, for me, that's very health promoting. So again, I'm bonding and connecting with my baby. I'm increasing oxytocin, progesterone, and all these kind of things. I'm outside in sunlight. So again, I had my t-shirt off. I'm only wearing this to be a bit more professional. Um, again, I've got like a tub out there to do some cold therapy, but again, I don't do it every single day. It's again, okay, how's my daily routine? Do I have calls? Do I have learning to do? Again, do I have a podcast, etc., etc. But again, generally, I have a big breakfast. During the middle of the day, I don't eat that much. Maybe it's like a yogurt, maybe some fruit, maybe, or again, maybe some protein, some fish. And then I train in the afternoon, maybe go outside, be on the beach, go in the sea. And again, just watching sunset, which is epic on the Pacific side of Nicaragua. Maybe some sun time in the morning, speak with a friend in the afternoon. But again, it's a very simple life. Again, being healthy shouldn't be complicated. But again,
Right.
remember, I'm in Nicaragua. I've got the ability to get sweaty in the sun. I've got the ability to
Right.
ground all the time. So again, I don't need to go out my way to do these activities. Where someone who's in Atlanta, as an example, again, they need to drive to the forest to do some grounding, or again, they need to maybe go in a sauna because it's pretty cold and they're not going to get any stimulus from that. Or again, then they might use red light therapy to offset the light in their environment. So again, I'm very lucky in my position, but again, that's one of the reasons why I chose to live in Nicaragua. Basically, it
Right.
makes being healthy easy. And again, it doesn't mean living in the UK or in North America is bad or you're not able to be healthy. You can. There's just less room for what's the word? There's less just room for mistakes essentially, or there's just less room to maneuver is the word. So again, you just
Right.
need to be a bit more dialed in. And again, that also means when it's cold, you need to go outside even when it's cold. You can't be wrapped up in cotton wool and in your blanket. You still need that stimulus. Okay.
Yeah.
And again, it's also at the other extreme end. Again, when it's hot in the UK or America, again, you still need to be going outside. And again, that's the issue with humans. We've sort of manipulated our environment where we don't want to go outside anymore. Or again, where we're feared to because of propaganda. But again, we need to flex that. And again, it doesn't mean burning to a crisp, or it doesn't mean having icicle, what's it called? Like, ice falling, like coming off your nose
Yeah.
because of a snot.
Yeah.
But again, like, it's just about the essence of flexing it. It's a bit like a workout. Again, most people don't want to
Right.
train hard, but again, they feel good afterwards. It's the same thing
Right.
with light and darkness. Okay.
Right. So that's definitely seems like one of the first principles to regulate your health. Let's say you are someone in a big city like Miami, New York, Atlanta, and you do have to go out of your way to actually regulate your health or reach optimal health. What's important for that person to touch on at least every single day? So sunlight is definitely one of those.
Yeah. So again, I mean, if someone's working from a computer and they got the ability to work outside, that would be the first place to go. A bit like what you saw me outside Costa Rica. Again, I'm on my laptop with a chair blocking the sun and I'm working and I've got my top on. So again, that's just
Right.
thinking differently. Why do I need to be indoors when I do that? So again, a lot of people spend time on their laptop. And again, if your laptop's in your lap, well, again, that's causing fertility right there. That's creating problems, triggering pricing distance in your technology devices. Again, that's really key to understand, because again, I'm not anti-technology. Again, I'm using it right now. There's Wi-Fi in the room, but again, I'm just offsetting it. Again, like I said, my circadian rhythm is dialed in. My health is really good. I can sort of flex that. Again, having good health is there to be used. But again, most people typically start in a sort of subpar state. So again, we need to invest. It's a bit like a business. You need to invest in a business and then it will flourish in a few months' time. That's the same thing for your health, where you have to be a bit more
Right.
regimental at the start. And yeah, maybe that means removing some lectins from your diet. Maybe that means removing some gluten, some wheat in a short period of time. Maybe that does mean have a little bit of fasting in there or going low carb. But again, after a while, your body would be picking up. And again, it would be responding better to these sort of problems. And
Right.
that's the same thing. Again, like we need to sort of prioritize the key factors that are moving our health. And again, maybe that means to some people they prioritize fitness over the lights. But again, it's not one's
Right.
better than the other. How about you go outside, like I see what you do in Medellin? I'm probably butchering that city name.
Yeah,
Medellin,
medicine.
Medellin in Colombia, and
Yeah.
again, they're working outside basically, maybe in the shade,
Right.
but again, they're still outside, and you're still going to get the benefits. And again, there's a big
Right.
difference. Again, if your time is limited for summer exposure, for fitness, marry the two together, basically. Or again, grounding
Yeah.
and cold therapy. Again, that could be like if you live close to the beach in LA or Miami, go in the sands, go in the sea, and you get the double stimulus effect. So 2 birds, 1 stone. Okay. Or again,
Right.
eating food. Most people eat 3 meals a day. Well, why don't you take two of those meals outside? Okay, instead
Right.
of being glued on your phone or reading whilst you're working and eating, take your food outside. Pay more attention to how you're digesting. They're just some simple principles to leverage. And again, it's about efficiency. It's not about becoming like Brian Johnson, extreme with your health and like popping pills and setting rules and regulations. Now, there's some principles, but you don't need to be living your life like that for health purposes. The healthiest people
Right.
I know don't do things like that for their health.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what are like some of the more common challenges then that you face when working with clients? Because health, from your perspective, seems far too simple for some people.
Yeah, I mean, it's purely about time. So again, time is the key thing to health. Time is the key thing that again we can't get back. So again, the time is the most valuable thing on this planet. It's more so than money. Again, when you got a billionaire and again he's a bit unhealthy, or maybe he gets a diagnosis of like cancer and neurodegeneration, What do they want to do? They want to reverse time. They want to go back in time, or they want to prolong their time left on this planet. Their perspectives change. So again, if we know
Right.
that, why don't we start prioritizing that from a young age? How can we actually improve our timing? Our time management. How can we prolong our health to allow us to have more time on this planet, or to experience the essence of time better, basically? So again,
Yeah.
time is in your reality, in each one of ours on a personal level, basically. I see time different to you. My day
Right.
feels different to you. Okay. So again, if we're optimizing our health, actually time slows down. So again, we can improve that. We can improve our metabolism. We can reduce the way we're oxidizing in our day-to-day life. Again, grounding, it provides basically the electrons, which mitigates the oxidation effect. Again, food
Right.
supports that. Things like vitamin C, vitamin E, improving our glutathione status, and other antioxidants. Again, if we know that, why don't we prioritize certain foods that support those pathways?
Yeah.
Again, like I just said, doing two birds with one stone, that improves our time management. And again, we can still work hard and we can still put healthy practices in place. But again, not just being fixated on it where we need like an hour massage or be in an ice tub for an hour. We can combine something. So again, we can apply menthol into our body and then do a sauna or an ice bath, and it would actually improve how we uncouple and how we create free heats. Or again, maybe it's
Yeah.
about fasting. Maybe we don't need to do like 48, 72-hour fasts. We can basically hack it further by taking some supplements to support it. Okay, so again, we can actually
Right.
leverage our microbiome to sort of mimic some fasting practices or some fasting metabolites. So again, there's
Yeah.
all little things that chip away that add to the
I,
picture.
I'm actually curious. You mentioned like you can supplement something to support your metabolism or fasting. What actually is that? Like, how do you hack the body?
Yeah, so again, that would be classified as like an amplified fast. So again, like ideally the day that you do it, or the few if you think ahead of time, you don't just wake up, okay, I'm gonna not eat today. Well, again, why don't we think about, okay, the biggest meal I'm gonna have, and then I'm gonna fast from the breakfast, basically. Breakfast would be a
Right.
key thing or a key starting point to fast. It's actually gonna reset your sleep clocks basically better. So you actually go to bed earlier, and that's gonna basically increase your sleep time. And again, that is basically like hibernation. Again, you can actually take some things. Again, black coffee would be supported, green tea. Again, there's certain supplements like milk thistle. Again, some people will be like, that's breaking a fast, or again, whether it's a water fast or not. Or again, throwing in cold therapy, throwing in sauna, throwing actually like sprints just before your end of your fast would be a powerful signal. Going for a morning walk, sunlight. Again, all these basic principles that I just shared before, adding them on top of your fast. And
Yeah.
principles about like not thinking about food. Maybe you do your fast without social media or your telephone, and you have a digital
Right.
fast in combination. And again, you get that
Yeah.
mental and emotional clarity. Maybe you get the awareness around your body. So again,
Right.
combining it with things, and there's things like berberine, there's things like other things involved there, acetylcarnitine. All these things are going to be like maybe liberating more fatty acids. So again, you can
Right.
actually offset and use more body fat when you're fasting, because that's the overall goal of fasting. You want to use your body fat. It's a tool to basically leverage it, but also reset your stomach, reset certain hormones like ghrelin. Okay. So
Yeah.
again, feeling hungry is actually a good sign that you're healthy, in my opinion. Okay. Because
Yeah.
again, we're so disconnected with what hungry feels like. Because again, we're just eating all the time, whether it's snacking or meals. And when we have this break of food, it sort of resets your relationship with food. So again,
Yeah.
like in the Islam world, basically they do this every single month, and in other religions they do fasting practices, and it sort of reacquaints you with the nourishing factor of food and how it's such a blessing, because again, we take it for granted. So again, fasting is not just about the absence of food and like it's a rule. It's actually should be treated as a complete experience for our biology.
Yeah, yeah. I just completed the whole month of Ramadan just a couple weeks ago, and it's so much, it's so crazy how much awareness you bring to your body by removing food and water, because there's like nothing else to do throughout the day but be present
Yeah. Uh,
and literally just like focus on your behavior, what you're consuming, your work that you're doing, how you're thinking, how you're feeling.
Yeah. Again, I was speaking
So,
last night on the beach. I was speaking to some a Jewish family that's in Nicaragua for a week, and they're saying it's Passover or something. And again, I don't know the details, but again, that's basically them being without their phone. And again, they don't do fasting without eating, but again, they eat wholesome foods. They don't eat bread or something like that.
right,
Again, they have a digital detox. They don't use transportation. And again, that's a really cool experience to have. And again, it doesn't need to be religious. Again, I'm not
right,
religious, but again, I understand these principles in different religions and how they affect us, our biology. And again, it's
right.
bringing you back in to your higher self, basically being
Yeah,
connected with yourself, which again in our modern day is again either just we don't know, or again, we give responsibility to somebody else. Like, we don't understand our bodies well enough. And that's what we do, essentially. We pass responsibility to other
yeah.
people.
What role does fasting play in terms of clarity, like mental performance? Because I know I heard you mention that you eat a big breakfast. I've heard
Yeah.
also that the lack of food in the body can increase cognitive function.
Yeah.
So for those entrepreneurs who are like chasing high performance, how does fasting affect clarity, or how does food maybe affect your clarity?
Yeah, for sure. Again, there's no doubt that when you skip breakfast and you wake up and you attack the day, you're very productive, basically. Again, your blood and your energy is going towards your brain and it's not going towards your digestive tract. Again, when you're without food, adrenaline, noradrenaline, dopamine, they're all spiking, and again, that's going to provide you the clarity and focus and drive. Again, you can increase that, take caffeine, you can take things like alpha GPC and tyrosine. Again, all these sort of ergogenic aids to increase that and leverage that. Again, cold therapy would be another thing. Again, as soon as we introduce food, again, it can change the system. But again, it depends on someone's biology. For me, it doesn't disrupt it. But again, for somebody else, maybe they again that word time, they don't have the time to do that. They don't have the time to make breakfast. So again, for them, it's an easy thing to do. Smash out 3 hours of hard work and then go somewhere for breakfast, basically. Or again, maybe get something delivered. Or again, maybe they've got a meal prep service. Again, it depends on the person who that question. For someone who's trying to lose weight, and again, maybe they have some health issues, I would probably say that's probably a problem for their biology. And again, this is like
Right.
the risk benefit ratio. Yeah, their benefit is their productivity at work, but what's the risk? What's the cost to their biology? Okay. And
Yeah,
again,
that's
having food in the morning alongside light and all those things I just said earlier, again, is syncing your biology up. And when someone's got gut issues, their gut clots are all over the place as well. So again, having a big breakfast for somebody else could be game changing. And again, it's
right.
just, again, we're habitual as well. So some people are just like, hey, yeah, this is my morning routine and this is what works. Again, they might be a bit apprehensive of doing that as well. So they're just testing it. I don't think it's easy. Okay, when I fast, I'm just productive, and again, it's better. Again, try it. Again, it doesn't mean having carbohydrates. It can mean just having more protein and a bit of fat, because typically with carbohydrates in the morning, it can lead to more unproductivity, in my opinion, from my experience in the
Right.
science. So again, having some protein with a bit of fat might just be enough to not cause any problems in those pathways of
Yeah.
distraction.
Right. Yeah, I like what you said about really just testing a lot of things, because I'm in that same phase right now where I've used to skip breakfast and I've recently introduced breakfast again, but skipping the carbs
Yeah.
and saving the carbs for a bigger midday thing. And I've seen a lot increasing in clarity, energy levels. But you said for some people it can be game changing. Is it because of sparser metabolism, or for those who are trying to, let's say, burn fat, is having a first meal important?
Yeah, I mean, it works all together. So your nutrition, your light, your grounding, even like what time you wake up, what time you went to bed, that's going to dictate again, right, your morning, basically your wake time. So again, there's some people based on this hormone called leptin, it's really game changing for them to have a big breakfast with protein and fat. Again, it's resetting their brain. You're basically supplying your body with amino acids. And again, someone with jacked up cortisol or cortisol dysregulation, it's again providing safety and security that there's food coming in. Okay, because when we typically fast, again, our brain should really be focusing in on, okay, what am I going to hunt? What am I going to gather? But again, in our modern world, it's now, I'm focusing on work and mentality. And again, that can work, but for, again, a long period of time, or again, when there's inflammation, or there's thought disturbances, or when the sleep is crap, it's just going to break the camel's back over time, basically.
Yeah. Yes.
It does improve your metabolism. There's no doubt that eating more calories in the morning, or more energy in the morning, is going to actually be helpful for your metabolism. Your body can process better in the morning, but that's only when your circadian rhythm is on point. Okay. Otherwise, again, if you're a night owl, train yourself as a night owl, again, you're accustomed to that nighttime eating.
Yeah.
But again,
yeah, I was gonna ask you that next. Like, what does nighttime snacking do to your sleep? Because sometimes, me personally, I get extremely hungry prior to bed.
Well, again, you're likely resting, or maybe you're being stimulated by something. So that in itself is hijacking your satiation and hunger hormones, which reflects leptin. Okay. So again, like when you're stimulated by artificial light at nighttime, you're going to be basically more hungry. Okay. Again, that light is telling your body it's midday to a certain degree. Okay. So you should actually feel tired. The kitchen should be closed when the light comes down. And again, it doesn't need to be extreme like that. But again, for the most part, there should be some like window of stopping the kitchen, like not going near food again, like 2-3 hours before bed. But again, like you can see studies in the performance nutrition, sports performance world, where again the nighttime feeding doesn't disrupt sleep. But again, those meals would typically just be protein based, and they wouldn't be high calorie. But again, that's not what most people consume. They literally go for maybe some carbohydrate, some sugars, maybe a little bit of protein and some fat before bed. And again, that would just be classified as like some Ben and Jerry's whilst watching a movie. So again, but again, it's just like, well, did you eat enough during the day? Is that why you're hungry? Or did you do that fast in the morning and now you're just making up for that energy gap that you didn't consume during the day? Or again, like I said, is your day just later and it's running later and your body clocks are just misaligned? Okay. So again, it's a bit like resetting it. Okay. Most people should feel kind of hungry in the morning. They should. It's a healthy sign to have. A bit like morning wood. It's a bit like when you have a bowel movement in the morning. These are all healthy signs that your circadian rhythm is on point. Okay. And again, it doesn't need to be measured like, okay, 40% of my energy comes in breakfast, then 30% at lunch or 30% at dinner. Again, like we shouldn't live our lives like that. But again, the majority of the energy should be coming from breakfast and at lunchtime. And then again, for me personally, with my clients, it'd be dinner would be more lower carb. We don't really want to have exaggerated glucose or insulin stimulation during the evening, basically. Okay.
Yeah, sustainability seems like a key, obviously, in your approach to health. With that said, things like, tracking every macro and weighing your food and insane routines seems like not sustainable long term. So how do you ensure that the changes you make are sustainable with clients, but also, like, does it need to be hyper specific where you know every single macro that's going into your body, or can you just kind of approach it with what feels best?
Yeah, I mean, technically speaking, calories are non-existent in our physiology. And that basically, for someone who's tracking their calories and saying, "Oh, this works for me," again, there is some premise to it. Okay, so again, but when we look at the mitochondria, where we look at cellular respiration, there's nothing that shows where calories go or what we do with them. So again, that's what I mean. They're non-existent in our physiology. But again,
Right.
they're the best thing that we have to gauge the energy density of the electrons in a food, basically. Okay.
Mhm.
And again, I do find that if you do track or have awareness around calories, yeah, that's helpful. Again, most people would think that, okay, a coconut oil or olive oil is healthy. But again, if you're just adding copious amounts of coconut oil or extra virgin olive oil into your salads or vegetables, well, again, that's going to stack up. Okay. That can
Right.
actually just throw you over. Okay. Again, what we want to do long term is get this thing, the brain, to know and be aware of how much body fat you have and the safety signals that the body's sending it. Okay. It's going to be very hard to lose body fat when there's a lot of oxidative stress, hormonal challenges, and light issues within your body. It's going to be hard. Your body doesn't want to give up body fat. Body fat is basically a key thing for evolution. It's a key thing for females. It's a sign that they can be fertile and carry a baby for 9 months and then feed it with breast milk. So again, your
Right.
body doesn't want to give up body fat. But again, it's a bit like your accountant. It doesn't really want to give you a loan unless it knows you're good for it, basically. There's money going to be coming in the future. That's just like how your hypothalamus in your brain works. So again, you need to send it good signals, circadian rhythm, nutrient density, signs that life is good in the microbiome, that you can do some fasting, that you can eat less and then use your body fat to burn, basically, and it's okay. But again, most
Right.
people just drop their calories very extreme, or again, they do these diets, and again, it works. But again, the thing is, yeah, it works the first time perfectly. But what happens on the third, the fourth, the fifth time, the body doesn't want to let go. And again, there's actually a thing in the science called like the first timer response to calorie deficits. Again, it works.
Right.
Again, you should ask like most personal trainers this question because it's real in the real world. And again, the more calorie deficits you do, or you have these phases of low calories, the harder your body wants to let go of this body fat. So again, you're sending a signal of stress of using this precious resource. And again, when you throw stress into the picture, or disturbances within your gut or within your immune cells with certain challenges, your body doesn't want to let go of this. So
Right.
again, we need to sort of manipulate the body, send it all these abundant signals, and get your body and metabolism point with nutrition, with the light, with the darkness, and again, certain factors and hacks on top of that, and your body would give up that body fat, basically. Um,
Yeah. So it
but
comes
again,
down to building like a good relationship between yourself, your body, and your brain.
yeah, but
That
again,
mind
there's no,
body connect.
yeah, 100%, but there's no doubt that you need to sort of eat less, essentially. Now, you can
Right.
improve your energy output, you can improve your metabolism. So, in fact, you can lose weight and still increase your calories to a certain degree because you're
Right.
improving the efficiency of your metabolism. Okay. But
Right.
in general, for most people, again, energy can't be created or destroyed. It's basically the body fat we're using is transferring and transferring out into the environment, basically. But again, like, we don't want to be shoveling sort of empty calories. We don't want to be adding extra non-essential foods into our body at that time. So again, like loading up on coconut oil, loading up on butter, loading up on excess fat in meat, it doesn't really make sense. It's going to be
Right.
making the process harder. And that's when like understanding energy density in food does matter. The difference between a ribeye steak versus basically like a fillet steak. They're big.
Right.
Again, it could be like double the amount of energy in there. But again,
Right.
your brain, in theory, could feel very satiated with a fillet steak. Again, if you throw some vegetables in the mix there to mimic that,
Right.
what that fat is doing on the ribeye steak.
Right.
So again, understanding that is key.
Yeah. You also mentioned something I want to circle back to, which was HRV. For people who aren't very nerdy in the health and fitness space or don't know things to measure or track, what are some important things to monitor to really like measure, am I doing well? Am I healthy? Am I in peak performance or operating at a high level? And also specifically touch on HRV and what that does.
Yeah, so again, three things would be morning wood or libido, sex drive in the morning. Am I horny? Okay. Am I happy? Okay. And again, I would say like a bowel movement, not like, again, as soon as you wake up, but close to waking up within an hour or two, essentially. And are you a little bit hungry? Now, again, it doesn't mean I can have like 10 eggs and a steak and I'm good to go as soon as you wake up. But again, there's some hunger there. Like I could eat,
Right.
do a few things, and then that hunger kicks in even more. So again, those four principles are really key and clear signs that your body's moving in the right direction. Again, and then we can be a bit more analytical with like using resting heart rates, using body temperature, using heart rate variability. And again, your heart rate variability is just sharing your adaptation, your ability to adapt to sort of stress demands, essentially.
Right.
Your nervous system and how your heart can respond to stress. So again, when your heart rate variability is in a high place, that means that you can adapt better to the demands that you place your body in. When it's a bit lower, typically, again, it's a bit like your body needs, it can't handle stress very well that day. So again, doing a cold bath, doing extreme workouts or prolonged exercise, that's probably not going to be favoring you for that day. Again, your heart rate variability can change like around like 20% either way each day, and you can spot trends. And again, that would be like, okay, when I have more sunlight or when it's summer, my resting heart rate drops, my heart rate variability increases. Again, that's the power of sunlight on your mitochondria to improve your nervous system, basically.
Yeah. What exactly does heart rate variability mean for those who never heard the term before?
So it's the variation between each heartbeat. So the greater the variation, it signifies that your body's more robust. It can handle more stress. There's more variation between each heartbeat, and that has been associated or correlated with again, I'm trying to think of the word, greater ability to adapt to demands, essentially.
Yeah. So how do you measure that? Because I've got one of these Aura rings on.
Well,
What's a good way to measure that?
yeah, me personally, I don't wear anything. I don't personally track it because again, like I said, you don't necessarily need to do what I do. But again, I'm at a place where again I know my health is really dialed in, and I feel fantastic. Again, sure, I can track it. It doesn't cost me anything, or again, it'll cost a fee to buy. But again, it doesn't really cost much time to do.
Right.
But again, there's other things like there's an app that you can get called HRV for training, which is using your camera lights, your iPhone camera lights and camera, and it tracks your heart rate variability. You just need to do it every single day in the morning. Again, there's also chest straps that you can get, like the Polis chest strap, and then you need an application. Again, I think the Whoop band does heart rate variability as well. Maybe the Apple Watch does it now. I don't know. Maybe not. But again, it's a good tool when you're trying things. Okay, does fasting work for me? Okay, does eating a breakfast in morning sunlight, does it change my sleep time? Does it change my sleep quality? Am I getting more deep sleep now because my melatonin levels are better?
Right.
Okay. Again, does that hard workout and that cold bath afterwards, does that tank my HR variability?
Yeah, so it's all about experimenting, using this as like a data tool to understand what works. And once you kind of know what works, you don't need them, which is back to the point you mentioned earlier. Like the goal is a year from now, if someone's working with you, they're on their own. They know themselves well enough.
Yeah, and again, it would also mean that, they don't need the Aura Ring to guide them as well. But again, the Aura Ring is really key. So again, when we would do something like restore some problem in the gut, okay, again, we would throw on some antimicrobials, strategic ones, and again, we would see a response with our heart rate variability. Okay, that heart rate variability would typically drop. Again, this is a stressor. We're changing the ecosystem of the gut. Maybe there's more endotoxins coming in to the body that downregulates the mitochondria. it changes adrenaline, it changes things. And again, that would be a good
Right.
thing to see. And then we could, in a few weeks' time, when we remove the antimicrobials, we would see the heart rate variability normalize or even get better than before. So again, it's a really good tool to use to really see if the changes that you're doing is working out. Again, it doesn't really lie. Again, you could fool yourself, but again, show me your heart rate variability data. Let me dissect it, and again, we can see the truth.
Yes.
It's a bit like, yeah,
Yeah.
my metabolism's high. I feel great. Well, again, well, show me your body temperature and let's see your resting heart rate and see what's going on there.
Yeah. I love that. So, Ryan, as we wrap up, can you share one piece of advice for listeners who want to take the first step to bettering their health today, or even maximize where they're already at if they already are healthy?
Yeah, I would say gain responsibility within your health. Don't outsource your information all the time. Now, again, information is great, but again, we don't want too much. We want to be specific with who we listen to, with what we digest. And again, just don't take words for gospel. Bring it in, make
Right.
sense, put it together with something else that you learned in the past. Maybe unlearn it, maybe relearn it, and then apply it. Then track progress, track the awareness, self-subjective things like you shared earlier in this podcast. Maybe look into heart rate variability. Again, try things. There's nothing wrong with trying things, but again, just have that awareness. Is this working or not? And again, don't be ashamed about, yeah, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe this doesn't work. Again, it's not a problem. Or again, if you want to dive into a deeper level, if you want to sort of get more support and control of your health, again, work with someone. It doesn't have to be me. There's other people out there. Again, like personal trainers,
Right.
health coaches, other nutritionists. Again, outsource it. Again, people nowadays get mentors now. What about your mentor for your health? Okay, like I
Right.
said, time, your health is very valuable. Again, I've got clients that work with me, and again, we double their income within like 12
Right.
months because they're more productive. They can recover harder. They have better time management. All these principles, they're not ill. There's less frequent
Right.
illnesses. So again, this is how you can scale your health, but also scale your business at the same time.
Right. Yeah, I love that. And that's a great place to kind of end it. Like you said, tying it full circle with time. Over time, if you take responsibility, you begin using your brain, you can really let yourself be guided to the highest level of health performance or health
100%.
optimization. Well, Ryan, dude, I really appreciate you being on the show. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. It's an honor to be able to share time and pick the brain of someone that I really have a lot of respect for in the health space. I don't really listen to too many people out there who are extremists, and there's not many people like you, Ryan, who are very fundamental and simple, which is maybe why you're not as viral as some of the other people. But
Well, again, like applying context and nuances, it's not sexy, but saying broccoli is going to kill you is. So,
right,
but again, at the same time, it's again, I'm a big fundamentalist, but again, I also understand what these people from extreme angles are saying as well. So again, when they
right,
say like a broccoli's out to get you, again, I can understand. Maybe they have subpar like gut health, and again, that's their personal response to broccoli. Now, is broccoli
right,
great? Well, again, it's not going to like cure diseases, but again, it's not a bad food if you want to use it. So again, it's
right.
just understanding like what all this noise is saying. But again, that's my job to dissect all this information and then apply
Yeah,
it to clients or share it.
I love it, man. Where can people learn more, or just stay part of your journey, or if they even want to work with you,
Yeah,
what's the
so
best way to find you?
I'd go on my website, which is livevitae.com, or Instagram,
Right,
livevitae, or on X or Twitter, livevitae UK. And again, I've got a
cool.
newsletter sharing insights and information, recipes, and everything like that. So that's it.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being on the show with us, man. And it's an honor to share some time together.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.